we appear to be recording, and I think that we're not going to run into the problem now of not recording this time. So I hope that's the case.
Even if it's only audio and the video somehow messes up, I'm still
so good with that.
I'm still good with
100%.
We'll still post it.
Okay, so that sounds good to me. Yeah.
So, if everyone is not aware, last time we did an entire conversation for like an hour and a half, and
none of it was recorded
at all.
None of
Zero.
it. We got up at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, and none of it was recorded.
Right.
We were more on time then than we are today, and none of it was recorded.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was a fun conversation though.
It was a great conversation, and now I feel like we have an expectation to live up to, because I have no idea if this conversation will be as good as that one was. In fact, I want to let all the viewers know that by watching this, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah,
So.
I know. You got the second best conversation.
You got the second best conversation, and we sucked. So we might just want to turn this off right now, actually, now that I think about it.
Yep.
Yep. So.
But, I was so afraid going into this, like, how am I going to be able to not rehash and make it stale based on all the things because we talked for an hour and a half.
If I had to guess, there won't be that much rehashing going on. I think that that would require way too much mental capacity to go back and try to recreate the conversation. I don't think there's the mental capacity.
I think I honestly forgot the entire conversation.
Yeah, totally.
Last time I was wearing...
become cumbersome to this world. What do you think about that? You like that?
This is
that's how I actually sing when I perform live. So don't go to my shows. Don't go. Yeah, that's a great song. I love that song.
I can tell you have talent in your voice.
Lots of they call that raw potential in the music biz. I think that's what they call it in the music biz.
That's exactly.
Yeah, totally. I'm actually not even really a part of the music biz. Music business, come save me immediately. You know what I mean? Yeah, totally. It's hard to say. Yeah. So.
But yeah, dude, I'm excited to have you on, and I think that one of the cool things that you do is perform music and drink exorbitant amounts of latte.
Yeah, I do.
Right, as I'm asking you.
Yeah, totally. You like that? I was, as you were asking, I'm like, I'm gonna make this a really long, like, swig. You know, it'll be a comedic swig. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do perform music. That's true. Amongst other things, I do perform music. Yeah, a lot. I like to perform music. It's good.
Yeah.
So.
I just saw your house, and it's like freaking decked out with all kinds of guitars.
Yeah.
And computers and speakers.
Did you just tell everybody to rob me?
Oh, jeez.
You're like, hey,
you know what? And here's the address, by the way.
Is decked out with at least 10 years worth of music equipment collection.
10 grand in just electronics on the
at least get $5,000 for your local pawn shop. You know what I mean? Yeah, totally. Yeah. No, it is decked out, man. I spent fucking a lot of time getting all that together, and I racked up a lot of credit card debt, and I paid it off, and then I racked it up again, and I paid it off, and that's the story of being a musician. You just gotta kind of make that cash where you can and buy your shit, because there is some upstart. You know what I mean? For sure. Mm-hmm. So these microphones, which are usually used in a performance capacity, were purchased via a Visa Chase credit card service, which
shout out to Chase and Visa.
I've basically been kicked out of there. They don't let me use that credit card very much anymore.
I wanted to talk about some of the cool things that you're doing.
Yeah.
Right now.
100%. I'd love to.
Because you're like a creative. You do a bunch of cool things, and what I really admire about you is that you do have the balls to just freaking go out and do whatever.
You're like that. Thank you.
You're like, you have an idea, and like you're just I'm gonna do it. And for me, in the past, I've had trouble with that. I've been very more conservative. More conservative.
Yeah. Well, both ideologies have their unique disadvantages and advantages, right? You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you got me into helping with my wife's store more.
Yeah.
Like now we have meetings on Thursday nights.
Yes. And Cody is involved in those, and I'm involved in those, and it's good.
Yeah, and by the way, Cody is his wife, who also does these pictures.
Yeah. Yep.
And I really
Preemptive
think
wife,
that,
not wife yet.
Oh wait, not wife.
On the way.
You
We're
said wife last time, and then
Cody's my preemptive wife.
I called. I said I was with Cody, and I was like, "Your husband's out of here," and then she's like,
"He is not my husband.
No,
he does not deserve to say that."
That's actually not what she said.
Oh shit! Okay, what you said?
She said, "I like that you called him my husband."
Yeah, dude. Yes. Yeah, we're getting married. Don't tell anyone. It's secret. So it's exciting.
But we both love Cody. I've got a Cody shirt on.
Yes.
And these are Cody's paintings in the background.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. She's an amazing woman, the most amazing woman in my opinion, and she does great art for sure. And so, if you want to check out any of that art, shameless plug number 2 in the podcast. I will keep track, so you don't have to. It is. You can find her at I think it's Instagram Boo Deity. And there's also Instagram Street Stains, and so if you look those up into Instagram, you will locate her artwork and her clothing line. Mm-hmm. Artwork is Boo Deity, and clothing line is Street Stains.
Mm-hmm. And I got a Street Stains. I just kind of gotta go on one more. I do have a Street Stains shirt on.
Yes, we do. And you can check this out right here. This is Cody's art on the back. This is the I think it's the Weeping Tulip is what she calls that, right? Yeah, you can see her. You can see the signature on there and everything. So, and we're in Pistol Vintage right now, which is a clothing store on Main Street in Over the Rhine in Cincinnati, and you can purchase Street Stains here, but you can also purchase Brianda's
just Pistol Vintage clothes.
Yeah.
She's doing a bunch of cool things, and we're helping them out now with some of the stuff along the lines of marketing.
Yes.
And just general business stuff.
100%. Yes. For sure, and we kind of approach it like with I've worked with a lot of clients in the past doing SEO and doing social media and helping people organize their businesses and create business plans that have a punch. And I always joke around and say it's like a good business plan, is like Conor McGregor, right? Conor McGregor has the personality, he has the vibe, he's definitely an entertainer and a performer, but he backs that up with skill. And when he hops in the ring, I mean, he's Conor McGregor for a reason. He just knocked out that one dude, fucking Cowboy, and
Cowboy Cerrone.
Cowboy Cerrone, yeah. Rest in peace. Holy shit.
His face after that fight, his eye was like swollen shut. It's like 30 seconds.
And that's not a fucking slight to Cowboy because he's a badass motherfucker. Yeah. I was very surprised to see him go down that quick, and I was rooting for him. But regardless, with Conor McGregor, he's got a punch to back up all of his bullshit, basically. All the things that the crowd finds him exciting for, all this hubris, he backs it up with skill, and that skill is developed in the gym. And in metaphorically speaking, that skill that he has to any business is the business plan, the business model, And that's something that I think Pistol Vintage and Street Stains do very well. They have, that's something I think they have a great vibe. I think they have that side of Conor McGregor, the entertaining side, but I think that as far as the business model and the punch behind it,
we can help out.
We can help out 100% with advertising and an organized social media plan and search engine optimization and 100%.
Yeah. So the cool thing is that I think that you're pretty good at making the business plan. I am pretty decent at helping run meetings a little bit, and then I'm going to try and help reach out to some of the businesses because I've got some business to business experience.
100%. Yeah, man. Yes, absolutely.
So I'm
huge business experience for sure. Do you want to talk? Do you talk about your business background at all?
Are you trying to keep it separate? I sometimes talk about it, but I don't get too in depth. But cool. I do a lot of business pre-sales, sales type of stuff. Yeah, and
super experienced. He's definitely humble about this for sure.
But it's I'm excited to do it, and I would have never done it without you, Matt.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, it's thanks, man. Like I mentioned before, being, taking on a lot of tasks and kind of being bold about being an entrepreneur. It has its upsides and downsides. The upside being when it pays off, the payoff is fantastic. And if you can sustain yourself and make money being an entrepreneur, obviously your life is filled with a unique flexibility that, you know, that people that are like stuck, you know, working 9 to 5 and stuff just don't have because of their business hours and their schedule and all of that. Downside being when it fails, it sucks. But you know, I'm glad to take the risk, and I'm glad and guys like this, even though they're like, you know, conservative as fuck, are the guys that should be taking these risks because they're also smart as fuck, which is why they're conservative, you know. So, you know,
So you had an interesting experience where I think you were like going door to door in San Diego or something.
Yes,
like
I was. Yeah, I was.
Like doing computer sales type of stuff. I don't know. You told me something, and I half forgot.
I wasn't quite the door to door sales guy, like interrupting dinner and selling knife sets, but I also wasn't quite in computer sales. You know what I mean? I was somewhere in the ambiguous middle. Yeah, I when I first got out of college, we went to California, and we weren't there very long. We were pursuing one of Cody's job opportunities there, and when I got there, I was like, "What the fuck am I gonna do?" And I found this ad on Craigslist, and it said, certified Google photographer needs a sales rep or multiple sales reps," and I was like, "What the fuck?" And so I linked up with this dude who's a fantastic photographer named Brad Gamson in San Diego. He's a fantastic Google photographer. One time I got to admit, we were really drunk in Vegas, and Brad took an awful fucking photo of Cody and I, and we gave him all kinds of shit because he literally is a professional photographer. So, Brad, if you're listening, fuck you. I love you. Yeah, I just sold virtual tours, man. And we were out in places like Temecula, California, beautiful sunny days, just fucking going back to back to back to back to back at business fronts and stuff, and selling virtual tours to people, and that's how I made money for.
So what is a virtual?
Out there.
What's a virtual tour?
So Google did this thing as a part of. It's now it's just a part of Google Street View. But when they first launched the virtual tour thing and with businesses, Google launched this thing called Google Business View, and Google Business View was a unique feature that used to be a part of sort of like this whole Google Maps thing and Google Business thing. And so when you looked up a business, if the business had paid for Business View and a photographer had gone to their shop to do Business View, what would happen is that when you looked up that business, there would be a feature on their business listing called See Inside. And you'd actually go inside the store into the virtual tour of the store, and that would be a part of their.
And you can do that now with a lot of different stores, so, and it's not a separate thing anymore.
No, so it's all Google Street View now, and actually the See Inside feature has been taken away.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is a bummer. But I guess that it was Google's impression, or it wasn't their impression. I'm sure that they collected data that reflected that the See Inside feature was making things too confusing for their typical user, and so they decided to get rid of See Inside, and then they took those VR tours, those virtual tours, and just made them a part of the overall Google Business listing. And so when you look up like Pistol Vintage, for example, there will be a spot for all the photos on Pistol, on Pistol's Google Business page, and
then you can go
and you can just hop on. Like if there was a virtual tour, you'd be able to hop in right there. And so what was happening was that these Google certified photographers who were independent contractors associated with Google, they'd come in with DSLR cameras, and they create a 360-degree effect. A user could walk through a store, or walk through a warehouse, or walk through like a sports facility, or whoever was paying for the tour. Very similar to how a user has always been able to hop on Google Street View and walk up and down streets and all that. So yeah, long story, but that's what it was.
And you would go to businesses and say, "This is why you should do this," or like
exactly. I'd walk in sight unseen, like cold calling businesses, and I would get in touch with business owners, and I would talk to them about what Google Business View was, and like who the photographer was, the photographer Brad Gamson that I worked with, and we made sales, man, and we had some really good days. I mean, we go out and, you know, sometimes we make like $2,000 in sales in a day, and like that's how I lived in California for the 6 months we were out there, you know. So
and that's pretty cool. I did a door-to-door sales type of experience too, and I thought it was extremely beneficial.
It's extremely beneficial. It puts you in many uncomfortable situations.
You just have to bite the bullet all the time and go up to people who sometimes don't want to. You have to be ready for like possibly a negative reaction.
100%.
Most of the time it's pretty positive or neutral, but the negative ones really stick with you.
Oh, dude, it's fucking brutal, man. They stick with you, and it's like when you're doing like 50 businesses a day, it's like the one negative one lasts. That feeling lasts for another 5 to 10 businesses afterwards, and you're just like, fuck, dude. Like sometimes we do more than that, man. I mean, sometimes we hit like 100 businesses. I remember one of the first times I went out, I did like 100 fucking businesses in a day, and because I wanted to like get out there and get my feet wet and show off to Brad and all that stuff, and like, dude, it was brutal. Some of those people who really don't like to see you come in, which I don't blame them. You know, a lot of times the salespeople come to me, I don't like that either.
Yeah.
But fuck, man, being that salesperson, like, it can be tough sometimes. You know, I'm sure your experience is the same.
I'd had a painting company, and I did door to door. To get my painting jobs, I had to go door to door.
Damn, bro.
And lots of times people would just be like, I'm going to call the cops. There's no soliciting in this neighborhood. And I'd be like, oh, shit. Damn.
Yeah.
Well, next door.
Like, hey, thanks, man.
Let's just...
Appreciate that.
You're like, hi, my name is Zach Fisher. I'm a college kid trying to paint your house. You want a paint job?
They're like, get the fuck out of
I'm
here.
going to call the cops on you right now.
Leave, you piece of shit.
Like, all right, next house.
Like,
let's
thanks.
go.
Okay,
let's go.
I'm underage, so I don't give a fuck. Call the fucking cops. They're literally going to drive me home. I need to fucking paint.
I was overage, but I still live with my parents.
Yeah,
so that's for sure.
Yeah, totally. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Nice. Yeah, I was in the same position for a brief period in my early 20s. You know. Rest in peace, early 20s, Matt. I'm so glad you're gone. You know, so yeah, man. Yeah, I think door-to-door sales. If anyone is listening and they want a confidence booster, hop in door-to-door sales, because literally, like, if you need to have a bulletproof personality and you don't currently have one, I think that door-to-door sales will be one of the first. We can be one of the first steps to getting one for sure.
I would say it is, because it's even harder than phone sales. Like, cold calling is hard.
Oh, yeah.
But at least you're not seeing them in the face.
Totally.
You can do way more cold calls than you can door to door. But like seeing that person, like, I'm gonna call the cops on you.
Cold calling.
Get out of my face.
Cold calling is brutal, man. Cold calling is, you know, like you said, when you see someone's face and they're telling you no, or they're being mean to you, or they're like whatever, it sucks. But even when it's positive, it's still very nerve-wracking, right? Yeah. Because you have to. I mean, like, you're not getting paid hourly when you're cold calling. But literally, what you make is what you make. And so when it's going well, and this is how many things in life are. It feels great.
You get that sale, you get that appointment, you get that whatever. It's like you're at the top of the freaking world.
100%, dude. It feels fucking amazing. And funnily enough, there's kind of a middle ground too, because if it's going well and then you fall short of the sale, that really sucks too. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like, to get hyped up and not make the sale is like, fuck. Like, I had that person on the hook, like 25 minutes of talking, it was all good, the conversation was great, and then bam, falls through. They're like, okay, yeah, you know, you're so great. All right, let's talk in a couple weeks, and that never happens, and then you're like, fuck everything. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I know how that is.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we'll sign up for a paid job.
Yeah, totally.
And then you're like, yeah, and then you call them and they just ghost.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, this is Zach. Oh, hey, Zach, I'm busy.
Yeah.
Oh,
and they're like, hey,
I'm trying to get
here's my fake phone number. You know what I mean? Like, here's my fake phone number. Don't ever call me. And if I ever see your face around here again, you can go fuck yourself.
Pretty much.
Yeah, totally.
With a smile on
my face. Yeah, with a smile on the face for sure. Yeah, it's brutal, man. But sales is cool, dude. I mean, I was good with it, and it's kind of performance in a way too. And that's as a performer, like, you know, you're not. I don't look at it this way, but you could look at it this way. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna preface it with that. Performance, you could look at performance like you're trying to sell your audience, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't look at it that way, because when I perform my music, it truly is authentic, and I'm really I'm really trying to give everything I have to my audience, no matter how large or small. And so I feel like it's not sales. But if I'm looking at it objectively, it's actually very similar to sales, you know, because you're trying to entertain someone, you're trying to persuade them to like you and to be captivated by your music. You're trying to engage them and make them want to come back, or maybe make them buy merchandise, or make them do whatever, you know, and you know, lead them to becoming one of your fans. You know, sales is so similar to that. It really is, you know. And a lot of the connections I made in sales have been the most lasting connections I've ever made. A lot of clients that I still work with on a monthly basis, were made from initially from sales, from selling virtual tours, which is crazy. You know, you meet it's a great way to meet like-minded people, because the people that are telling you no or being really mean to you, for the majority of them, probably never been in a position where they're knocking door to door.
Yeah.
They're just being like, oh, this guy's so annoying. It's like, well, when you're in a position like that, you understand that it has its unique difficulties. Like sales positions have their unique difficulties, and only by being in one of those sales positions can you realize that. You know.
I mean, not to draw a line between sales and being homeless. However, we were having this conversation.
Is this about my sweatshirt right now?
No. We were talking about like how we're mean to people who are homeless because we don't really understand them, or like typically we'll be cold towards them.
For sure.
And then we both had the conversation like, if we're gonna be on the streets all night, hit me that crack pipe, man.
Sure. So let's back this up a little bit. Let's explain exactly how this went down before everyone thinks we're fucking assholes to homeless people. Because I like homeless people, okay? We're good. But, sometimes when homeless people come up to you and they're like, hey, can I get $1? And you can tell they're on crack. You're like, no, you can't get a fucking $1 because you're going to spend it on crack.
Yeah, that's what you think.
But then we got talking a little more, and it's like, fuck, you're going to be outside in the middle of the fucking night, and it's cold as fuck.
No house.
And have no house or anything. Like, probably you want to be like drinking beer. You want to be like
warm you up, or like get you moving
around.
Yeah,
dog.
Or like,
for sure. If your option is like freeze to death in the cold, or be running around town all the night, fucking living on
top
crack,
of the world.
You know, you're like
feeling like you are.
All right, bro. I'm trying to be on crack, man. I'm trying to be up, moving around at fucking 4:00 in the morning. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I understand the desire.
Totally.
I mean, to be on a drug if you're out all night. It's like an everyday thing. Like
100%, man. Fuck yeah. Can you imagine? I don't want to be outside right now. It's in the middle of the fucking daytime. It's cold as
20 degrees. Yeah.
It's 20 degrees. Yeah. Crazy.
But I think that's good that you give money.
What's that?
I think it's good you give money to homeless people.
Oh yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, for sure. I like to give money to homeless people. You know, fuck again, sales, bro. Like, hey, it takes some balls to be out on the fucking corner begging. I'm not saying that it's the right way to be. I'm not saying that it's like, but then again, I'm not saying it's the wrong fucking way to be, man. Because that's just how I live. I mean, I respect all people in all walks of life, but it takes balls to fucking beg for money.
I don't think that anyone who's in that situation actually wants to be like there. Probably.
No, I would say the majority of them are experiencing, like, you know, I think a lot of homeless people have sort of untreated mental illness and shit like that, and that fucking sucks, you know, or you know, like, you know, whatever, like drug addictions, which in a lot of cases lead to, you know, mental illness. Yeah, same exact thing, right? Like,
I mean, if somebody's schizophrenic or cracked out, you can't really tell the difference if they're super bad on either one.
No, 100%, man. You definitely can. It sucks.
Yeah.
You know, so you gotta be nice to those people, man. You know, you gotta respect people, and I think people are like quick to judge. You know, like, oh, I work so hard. Why would I give that motherfucker $1? It's like, I don't know, man. You know, like people, I don't know, whatever. You know?
And we've got what's his name, Ron, I think.
Yes.
Ron. So we sell his artwork here.
Yep.
He's a pretty cool guy.
And I think Ron was homeless for a pretty extended period of time, wasn't he?
I think he still is homeless.
Is he? I thought he maybe got an apartment or something.
Maybe he did.
But
he did.
Yeah, Ron's a really nice guy. If you see this guy around town, the majority of people in Cincinnati have seen Ron, and a lot of people have bought these pieces as well.
Yeah, they're good pieces.
Yeah.
I have one. I made a cabinet.
Really?
Like a drawer. And I put it on the back of the drawer. I posted old National Geographics around the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I posted one of Ron's pieces on the back.
That's badass, man.
And it's under my desk.
Dude, Ron's cool as fuck. Sadly enough, Ron recently got cancer, which sucks. Yeah. But he's a really nice dude, man. And he sells these pieces for fucking cheap. Sells them for like $25, and they're sick, you know. If you go to Sitwell's, like coffee shop, you'll see 4 of them hanging up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You see them in Bree's shop. It's pretty badass. And
yeah.
We like Ron, dude. And again, man, it's like, that's w's cool about neighborhoods like this. Like, some would call over the Rhine, like, they'd be like, you know, they say it has its own problems and stuff, but like, You know, communities where people are coming together, I think, is where it's at. And Over the Rhine is definitely a community where like a lot of people are coming together, which is badass. You know, and guys like Ron, dude, like Ron is hustling his art on a day-to-day basis. You know, and that's cool. You know, that's the entrepreneur spirit, and apparently he does a pretty good job because I literally see his pieces everywhere.
Yeah, I think that that's something that I always admire when people are doing that versus just saying "give me money."
100%.
If they're like playing the drums like with 5-gallon buckets or something like that, I always think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure, man. And you know, and like that's 100%. I totally agree. It's cool to see street performers. It's cool to see buskers. It's cool to see. You know, man. It's I
think it gives a city like real character.
For sure.
You have street performers and stuff, and like street artists and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure, man. Absolutely. I mean, those people are like, that's the lifeblood of the city. I mean, fucking, whatever you're seeing at US Bank Arena isn't fucking the lifeblood of Cincinnati. That's fucking Justin Bieber. You know what I mean? Like, what, when you go to a city, like, you know, there's locals and there's these like hometown heroes and natives or even, you know, just people know each other and people like, oh yeah, that's Ron. That's the guy that sells art. He's an artist, you know? And it's cool, man, because like, I don't know. I mean, that's what like you said, that's what makes the city unique, and that's what makes it fun. It's fun to be a part of Cincinnati, in my opinion. Yeah, for sure. Or any city for that matter. I mean, when you go to places like New York, there's like all those locals that have been there for fucking 40, 50 years that have been doing it, you know, and like they're in the same clubs, been in the same clubs for decades at times. It's like, damn, that's pretty badass, you know?
Yeah.
Like some of these club owners and some of the performers have literally been working together for decades. That's insane, you know? And it's sort of like a microeconomy as well, a microeconomy of art and music, which is like, damn, that's pretty interesting. And I think that the more that you can get in the world, the better off the world is. And I think that's where the world is headed in like this culture, this newer culture of sustainability, and I guess also like interconnectivity as well. You know, I think it's cool. Cody always says the future is free, and I completely agree. I think that. Everything's becoming so much easier, you know, things will soon be automated, and at that point, in a society where everything is automated and people are generally good and you know, taken care of to at least the extent where all their basic human needs are met, you know, what is valuable in that society afterwards? You know, what's left to be valuable? And I think art is one thing that's, you know, very obvious to me, is that of course art is valuable, like, you know, after all that, you know. And I also think about the bubbles that have happened over the course of the past few decades, and it's like, and the things that have broken and been redesigned as a result of that. Like the internet came up, created this big bubble, and then like, you know, it burst. You can make so much money in the internet for a certain period of time. You still can, right? Yeah. But like organizations like PayPal started and things like that. That's insane. Like those guys got in at the very beginning, and there's so much money to be made. That's fucking cool. And then like what happens as a result of all that is like these industries that have been, you know, monoliths for a very long period of time, such as the music industry, you know, because that's kind of where I'm going with this. The music industry is this huge industry that you can't break into unless someone picks you up, you know what I mean, and pulls you up into it, right? Like aka like record labels and producers and all that shit. It's not like that anymore, and that's exciting. And to me, it's like that is already a result of automation in a way, right? Because I mean, it used to be you needed all these people to publish your music, and now all you need is a fucking website to do it. And that's taking the place of the people that used to be like, you used to need record labels, and you used to need distributors, and you used to need managers and all this bullshit. And now literally, your manager, your distributor, your record label is your fucking MacBook Pro. I mean, if that's not automation, I don't know what is, you know? And it's cool to see all these like bohemian aspects of Cincinnati and of other cities that are in the Midwest, or even like the coastal cities that are larger cities. It's cool to see that happening, bro, because like guys like Ron are at the front of this fucking movement where it's like, I'm out here hustling my art, like I've got my shit, like okay, things are okay, you know what I mean? I'm alive, I'm out here doing this, and fucking killing it, you know? Yeah. And monologue over.
No, I think it's really cool. SoundCloud has come up with some really good artists.
For sure, man. Yeah. And in the term, there's literally like, just like Google it. Like, you know, Google it is a term. SoundCloud rapper is a term. That's pretty cool, you know?
It's a whole new genre.
It is. Big time. Like, literally, SoundCloud rappers, like, are a genre, you know?
And those people literally
a genre of punks from
they,
Florida with face tattoos rapping about hilarious shit. You know what I mean?
They did their own thing.
They did their own thing, bro. Literally, like their tattoo of like
almost
baby on their
nothing.
face and shit, saying the craziest shit in their raps. You know what I mean? Like, and coming out with these styles of music that are fucking dope. Like Lil Peep, man, on like the emo rap shit was fantastic. Lil Pump on the fucking like, you know, like almost like fake thug punk rap shit. Fucking XXX Attention before he went down. Guys like Juice WRLD, I think Juice started out on SoundCloud as well. You know, and it's great. I don't know, man. It's interesting. It's pretty fucking cool.
Ellie, what's her name? Oof. Never mind.
Golden.
No, there's another one that my wife likes.
Oh, for real?
Think of.
Hell yeah, man.
But she blew up.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cool thing is that it's a way of communicating your music out to a large number of people without having that middleman of the 40-year-old dude with a cigar or 50-year-old dude with a cigar that you used to have.
For sure. That doesn't actually know what's hip. That's another thing about that. You know?
and it's weird that even good music came out of the old days.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally. It is weird, man. It was very much like these. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like these guys just like what they're just. You know, it used to be like these guys just to like wait on what was going to be next. You know, and they find out, oh, people kind of like this. Oh, we'll throw this out there because it's kind of like this combination of this thing people like and this combination that people like. You know, we'll throw it out there and like, bam, there you go. And what's really cool about where music's at right now, I think the reason it's moving so quickly is because you don't have to do that anymore. It's no longer curated by people that don't know what the fuck's going on. Mm-hmm. It's literally curated by the audience that consumes it, which is fucking wild. That it blows my mind that these streaming platforms, and like, you know, some artists complain about the fact that streaming doesn't pay enough money, which I would agree. But on the other hand, like, look at the opportunity that it provides. Like, it doesn't cost very much money to get up on Spotify or get up on Amazon Music, you know? And suddenly your music's available to millions and millions of people. And like you and then the users that use those platforms get to decide what's hot and what's next, you know? Mm-hmm. Granted, there's still so many elements of marketing and content creation and all that will impact your odds of getting viewed by those people, you know? But the content's still at the root of everything, and having that power to get your content out there like that, dude. I'm all for automation, bro. I think it's cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yep.
And then the other piece is that you have the power to like supplement your content with a good website and a good because I feel like to get a good cult following.
Yeah.
You can't be like, all right, what's this band? And then you Google it and nothing comes up.
For sure.
Like, at least that's my perspective. I'm like, damn, I can't find anything about them. Are they touring? What's going on? Like,
man. Yeah.
What's their deal?
I know, dude. Yeah.
So I feel like that's something that you can do yourself, though. You don't need to pay somebody to do it. It's just hustle. 100%.
It's all hustle, man. And if you treat, I think not too far from now, everybody will be an entrepreneur. I think that's where the future is headed. I think that you're already seeing that. Like, I was at a real estate company last night, a couple streets over in Cincinnati, and there's going to be an art show there tonight. And Cody's in that art show. And I'm looking around at this real estate company, and it's set up like a shared workspace, you know? Mm-hmm. And all these realtors are like, they're independent entities of like, you know, they're each sort of their own business person. And that blows my fucking mind, dude. Like, it's just like these people come together and like, I mean, granted, realtors is kind of, you know, realty's always kind of been that format. So maybe that's not the most innovative industry to talk about, but there's so many industries now where it's like, you're almost a freelancer inside of your job, you know? It's like if you work in tech, in a lot of cases, you don't have to be at a fucking desk, you know?
There's a lot of developers that do freelance work often.
Yeah.
And there's platforms out there where basically they're like, we need this kind of development. Here's the amount of money that we'll pay. I mean, somebody will take it.
100%.
Just work.
You talking about websites like Upwork and stuff like that? Yeah, for sure. That's cool, man. I mean, that I can see more and more of the world, more of being like that, because it seems like that. Those industries are some of the most highly rewarded industries already, you know, and so I see more and more people going that direction. What's not to like? There's flexibility. There's a good hourly to make if you can get enough clients, and I see in the long run that a lot of these large corporations, as they get rid of more and more jobs because they can automate them or whatever, like that'll have to be the future, right? I think people will start more businesses because how else will you make cash, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool.
It is cool.
I'm excited about it. I want to see that fucking happen. I want to see everybody be like the best versions of themselves and do what they want to do, you know? So, yeah.
I've heard somebody say before that being an entrepreneur is like everyone's highest calling.
For sure, man. For sure. Yeah, 100%. And what's the coolest thing, man, is that like, and I think why I like doing what I do with search engine optimization and with social media and with like streamlined content creation and like goals and deadlines and scheduling things and making sure clients are on task and then keeping them on task, and when they fall off, pulling them back on the bandwagon, etc. That's my role in various companies that I work for. And I think the reason I like doing it is because like pretty much everyone, in my opinion, has a cool vibe within them. Everyone's got something that they can bring to the table. And the only thing that I think that ultra successful people have that maybe everyone else doesn't necessarily have is the ability to execute, you know? And that's if that's all you need, that's a developed ability, man, you know? Mm-hmm. Organization, consistency, persistence, these are all skills you can develop and work on, you know? Setting goals and creating systems to achieve those goals. Those are all things that you can achieve as an individual that wants to be an entrepreneur. That's what I'm writing Symmetrical Living about. That's how I'm living my life. And you know, we're talking about
you're writing the book Symmetrical Living.
Yes.
And that is kind of about making sure, I don't know, what is it about?
Symmetrical living is about you being a symmetrical entity. It's about you being a like dope machine, a badass machine, but the best version of that badass machine that you can possibly be. So Symmetrical Living is a book that's designed to help you achieve your goals, and it's a book that's helping you designed to optimize the points of living that you might be weakest at. It explores this concept I created called the gears of symmetry, and the idea is that within every machine there are sort of gears, or there are mechanisms that make that machine work, especially within hardware, right? Like within a computer you have whatever hardware, you know, you have your hard drive.
You call them the gears of symmetry.
The gears of symmetry. And so think about like look at like a blank space and imagine that you have a bunch of gears that are all rotating together. And then think about different elements and areas of your life, okay? Think about money and call that like your money or economy gear. Think about creativity and call that your creative gear. Think about work and call that your work gear, whatever you want to call it. And now look, in the spirit of all these things working together, okay? Look at how they interact with one another. Look at how money is influenced by work. And look how creativity influences work. And then that influences money, like we just said, right? And then look how money influences creativity. And start drawing the lines between, in your mind, between these gears and how they move, how they work, and maybe where they're broken. Because if you're broke as hell and don't have any money, then how does your work gear look? You know? If you're a creator that wants to be a musician or an artist or maybe something different, maybe a graphic designer, whatever the fuck, like, and you don't have any money, how do you achieve that? How do you achieve your goals and then get the money thing working and make all this shit work together, okay? And so obviously in the book I have it laid out a bit more like bam, 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 a little more streamlined and concrete so people can follow along. But the idea is that if you can get all your gears to work together successfully, right, then you will know the best version of yourself and ultimate success.
Yeah.
You know? And within each one of these gears, right, within one of these gears or symmetrical circles, I also call gears symmetrical circles, there are subsets that are also working, okay? And so if you're inside your money gear, all right, or you're inside your like creative gear. Let's talk about the creative gear because that's one of the easiest ones to look at subsets, right? So as far as a creator, I'm a musician, you know, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm these sort of like various things, okay, that all fit within the creative gear. And those things are what are making the creative gear spin, okay? My input is what creates my output. And so as a musician, I'm in Logic, I'm working on songs. I'm in Ableton, I'm working on songs. I'm doing my music. I'm playing the guitar. I'm singing. I'm doing all this shit, right? And that input has to equal some kind of output because I have to create a product. All right, that's what makes my creative gear spin. Well, if I manage to create a product and make my creative gear spin, that's going to link up with the money gear over here and make that gear spin as well. Suddenly your money's moving around, okay? Mm-hmm. Now it's like if your money is moving around and you're making money based upon your product, well, guess what? Like your creative gear is going to spin better now too, right? And like your work gear is just popping off because like now your creative gear is becoming your work, you know? And so this idea is that if you focus on these individual areas of your life, all of the individual areas, by focusing on one individual area, right? By one symmetrical circle, by one gear of symmetry. If you're focused on that creative gear or that work gear down here, or that money gear, it's gonna make all of the other gears move better. And so I think that as individuals, we all have gears that make us tick, you know? Everyone operates, at least in this country, in most countries, as far as I know, everyone's operating in some capacity with their idea of money, right? Everyone's thinking about money in some capacity, mm-hmm. right? Everyone's thinking about work in some capacity. And even if you're living off the grid, right? I mean, you still need some money. There's still some upstart to that, you know what I mean? Or there's still like food you have to get, unless you're like 100% sustainable, which is almost impossible, you know? And so like, everyone's thinking about money in some way. Everyone's thinking about work in some way. And then creativity, man, even if you're not a musician or an artist, creativity's in your life as a person, you know what I mean? People are constantly being creative. We're constantly thinking of ways to solve problems, and I would call that creativity, you know? Some would call it critical thinking, but I would argue there's an element of creativity within critical thinking, whatever. It's within everyone's life in some capacity. If you can make all these things work together, you can become the ideal version of you, you know? And in my life, the reason I've been writing Symmetrical Living and the reason that it's important to me, and I was telling Zach earlier today, even if 5 people read this book, whatever, it's still a victory to me. Why? Because up until like the past couple of years when I really started optimizing sort of my weak points, I was thinking about this concept of the gears of symmetry. I was thinking there are really just a few, macro areas of my life that if I addressed and figured out how they worked and made them work better and optimized them, there are only a few of these large areas that need to work really, really well for my life to be great, you know? And if I can if I can identify what those are, and then if I can make them great, I can liberate myself, and then I can start focusing on the smaller things too, right? And I guess really this concept can go as deep as you want it to go, okay? If you just want to think about, in this case, money, creativity, and what was the last one? And work, right? If you just want to think about that, you can just think about that. But if you want to identify more parts of yourself that are your individual gears, this can go as deep as you want it to go. I mean, there could be thousands. You could literally put a giant, you could take a blank wall and just start drawing on it, and in your house. You can choose one wall, it's a white wall, take a fucking Sharpie to it, who gives a fuck, you'll be able to paint it over again, and start drawing your gears and looking at it like a giant diagram and just being able to visualize your life and see it in front of you in a concrete way. And then bam, if you start fixing all those little things, all those little gears and all their subsets, and start working on each one of them and allocating time and resources to each one and like determining how they're all going to interact to make your machine, because all these gears are working inside of a machine. They're cogs that are moving around to make a machine work. That's the whole concept, right? And you are the machine. If you can look at these gears and make them all fucking work, that's all you got to do. Literally, that's it. Your life can be that easy. Your life can be that easy because if you're a creator, figure out how to get your creativity gear spinning really, really fast. Create product. This is your work now. Your work gear is spinning as well because your creativity is your product and is your work. And then once you figure out how to get these gears spinning really, really fast and you make enough product, then it'll impact your money gear as well. So, yeah. And so I know it's like, it's kind of a rudimentary concept. It might not be, it may or may not be helpful to people. I don't know. but it's certainly been helpful to me breaking it down that way.
I think that if you did, I don't know if you're mentioning this in the book or not, but I was thinking this while I was listening to you, is that when I visualize things and I draw them out on the board,
yeah,
like I do it on a whiteboard because once again I'm more conservative.
Totally right. Yeah, for sure.
But you know what? You can take a Sharpie to your wall
right.
too.
It's a little easier than repainting the wall. You know what I mean? For sure.
But yeah, no, it's a great concept of like when I visualize, like I'm just like trying to visualize what I do for work.
Yeah.
I'll do it on a board like that.
For sure.
And I think that having different aspects and trying to see how that actually, like for me, it's different than you, but like I would be like, so I have my work, which makes me money, and my creativity, which it kind of spins the work gear, because the more I'm creative, the more I actually have to work too.
100%.
To keep up with that. Like you were saying, the more ideas that you have for songs, the more you have to work to actually make them sound the way that they should.
Totally. And yes, go ahead. I'm listening to you.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much my point, is that like, you know, I agree with the concept. I think it's a cool concept, and I think I can use it in my specific way. I guess.
Good. Well, that's awesome. Yeah. And actually it is similar to what you're talking about with the vision board, you know, and I've heard people talk, I mentioned earlier today when we were driving on the way here, you know, you don't need symmetrical living to achieve the concepts that I talk about in symmetrical living. These are already in a lot of self-help books, just in, you know, different, you know, a lot of self-help people, a lot of gurus, whatever, they're all touching on different concepts of this, you know. And I've read a lot of those books. I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins. I'm a big fan of Napoleon Hill, you know, Think and Grow Rich, all that stuff. I love that stuff. And I just wanted to take the concepts from all these various sources and put them together in a way that I could see personally. And being a visual person and being a creative person, I wanted to think about it as a metaphor, you know? And that's the whole, like, gears equaling a machine, right? You're the machine. Your gears are the different elements of your life, right, that are working within you to achieve whatever version of yourself you want to be, you know? And I would argue that if someone isn't their ideal version of self, that one of these gears is probably off, or multiple maybe, you know, probably broken. And if they would take the time to fix those gears, just like fixing an appliance, just like fixing a car or a washing machine, I just kind of get mixed up there. Just like fixing an appliance, like a washing machine, or just like repairing your vehicle, like your car, right? Because cars are not appliances, and I want everyone to know that I don't think cars are appliances. But just like fixing those things, man, you know, you can fix yourself too. You know, you can make your machine work to its fullest capacity. And I'm not totally where I want to be at in life, but I think when I arrive there, it will be because I took the time to fix my machine and make these gears work in a way that, you know, was beneficial to my success.
And I think that writing it out is a good strategy too. Cause
yeah.
You figure out how you're going to strategize for, you know, what you're going to do in general.
100%. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
You get it. You type it. You got it tactily. You've got it visually on a piece of paper.
Yes.
I think it's cool.
It's cool, man. I think it's important to visualize that stuff. And for me, it is. I'm all over the place, and you know, and that's really really a good thing when I'm playing the guitar. That's really a good thing when I'm writing music. You know, is that my mind will go here and jump here and jump here. But I was just finding out over time, this is not working because I'm not achieving my goals in the way that I want to achieve them. How can I take my strength, which is being spontaneous and being creative and sort of like jumping from one topic to the other, you know, as maybe some of our viewers have noticed. How can I take that strength and capitalize on it? How can I take that strength and make it like, okay, this is my life now, you know? And I think taking that strength and winning with it requires, you know, working on the weaknesses that come as a result of that being your strength. If your strength is that you're kind of all over the place, you move 100 miles a minute, you know what I mean?
But you're very creative and willing to do things.
But very creative and willing to do things. If that's your strength.
That's the strength, I think.
Exactly.
And then it comes with kind of being all over the place, because you have to be.
Yes, 100%.
If you're going to be creative,
Yeah.
you have to be a little bit more all over the place.
Right. A lot of creators are, and 100%. And if you can identify what the weaknesses are that are associated with that, it's like that's where your success is. I think that's what makes you. I don't know. I think that's what makes you symmetrical. I would argue. Mm-hmm. And my weaknesses definitely were consistency.
I was going to say that right now, I don't think that that's a weakness of yours based on what I've seen.
For sure, yeah.
And I've only known you for a little bit, but I don't think that is I'd consider that not a weakness based on everything that I know of.
And literally, that's only because I've worked on it so damn much. You know? I mean, they were just, I would go through times where I'd be like, I'm creating music all the time. And then I wouldn't finish the music, so I wouldn't have a product. And then I would stop creating altogether for a while. And then I'd get back into it, and then I'd start creating an entirely new set of music. And then not finish that either. And it was like, dude, how am I ever going to have a career in this? Which is something I'm still working on. I'm still working on having a career in this. But like, how is that? I feel like I'm on a path now, and I feel like the input I'm putting into it is still greater than the output I'm receiving. Like, I still work harder on music than the reward I receive for working on music. Which is totally cool with me because I love it. But now I feel, because I've worked on consistency and I've worked on being organized, now I feel like the input is starting to equal a greater output. And that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and that I'll be able to have a life from, a life. Of course I have a life. I'll be able to have money and a bit of success from doing music and from pursuing my creativity and passion. That's something that I'm really, really happy about. And I know that there's probably a lot of people listening that wish they could achieve the dreams and the aspirations that are in their hearts, or in their minds. And I would say that they can. I would say anybody can. Just identify what those weaknesses are, figure out your gears, figure out where they're broken, figure out where they're working great. Understand who you are, look inward, and just be honest with yourself, and you can achieve what you want to achieve, 100%, yeah. And that's the whole goal of symmetrical living. That's what it was for me, I've always felt positive. I've always been an optimist. I've always wanted to achieve, and I just wanted to find a way to adequately do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Do you want to talk about your Mavi Machina at all?
Yeah. So let's get on that. So Mavi Machina is the name of Mavi
V
Machina.
Machina.
Which
Machina. See, I messed up his dog's name,
right.
And now I'm messing up the name of his band.
Totally.
I
for
call
sure.
it Roscoe instead of
Yeah,
Roscoe.
if we get that serious for a second, what the fuck, bro? That's bullshit.
I'm sorry.
I'm starting to feel way calmer now. I don't have to explain anything anymore. So Mavi Machina.
Mavi Machina, and the name came from where?
So my buddy in college called me Mavi all the time. And so I always thought about doing something with that because my first name's Matt, my last name's Averdick, and he'd be like, "Yo, Mavi, what up?" You know what I mean? All that shit. And then Machina is the fact that I create all my music on the computer. It's a machine. And my first thought was like, well, just call yourself Matt in the Machine. Then I was like, Florence in the Machine. Anybody?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I started thinking like, what's kind of a cool way that you could portray this, But it's like I also wanted it to be like kind of brute. I wanted the name to be like boom.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Mavi Machina just sounds like a strong name, a little too many syllables, but I compromised, and that's what I went with. So, yeah.
And I do think it's interesting that you were saying to me earlier that everything is now created. Every kind of music is somehow digitized.
Yeah, 100%. And Deadmau5, yes. We talked about that, I think last week.
Oh, we said we weren't going to retrace it.
Yeah, but here we are. Yeah, so shout out to Deadmau5 because he's the one that really said this, and I have huge respect for him. He's fucking amazing.
Why don't you just take credit for it, man?
Yeah, totally. Nah, man. I cite my sources, Thanks, Catholic school. I see it. Thank you, MLA. Thank you, MLA.
I actually got it.
MLA format. Holy shit, fuck off.
I will say that I was very upset about that format, and when I was in high school, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I honestly I did this research paper and I plagiarized. I took a bunch of stuff from another source and just wrote it as my own.
That's great. Yeah, and, good for you.
Every
high school student should. It's not like you're profiting off it,
Look, I will say that you should not, because you could also get caught. I almost had to do summer school because of it. I got a D- on it, and I was like, I'm never cheating again after that. Because if he would have failed me, that was a research project that you have to pass in order to pass the grade.
Holy
so I would have had to take it over the summer, even though I was like a great student. Other than that, so
that's funny as fuck.
But anyways, I don't even know what we're talking about.
There's
We're talking about your mom.
No, let's keep on not talking about that for a second. There's this dude in the Tim Ferriss book, Tools of Titans, you know?
Yeah.
And he is a professor at like some big school, and he catches cheaters that way, in this really unique way. He would like make a website, and it would have the answer to a question that he made up for his test, like for his take-home test. And how he would catch like potential cheaters in the class would be like, it was the only website that would have the answers. You know what I mean? And then whoever got the answer correctly, he would realize, okay, they like stole this answer from my site, and now they've cheated.
So he actually gave the right answer.
He would, I guess it was like the right made up.
But it was probably in like a certain wordage or something, and then they copied the exact wordage.
Yeah,
and like,
and they'd be like, they just turn it in and like literally just be like, you know, hook, line, sinker. You know what I mean? Yeah, brutal. Anyways, Mavi Machina is that's what I do for music. I did that because when I perform with. There's a variety of instruments on stage. I use a guitar. I use analog drums sometimes. It's a regular acoustic drum kit, but sometimes I use drum triggers to trigger MIDI, and so I can do like the huge like firing squad sounds, or fucking like huge like sub bass hits, and like, you know, like 808 drums that I wouldn't have available to me without using MIDI triggers.
So you do the actual you play on the drums.
Yeah, I play drums and guitar. I can play and sing. Yeah, I can play bass too, but I consider myself a guitar player that plays bass, because bass has a certain feel. You know what I mean? There's a lot of techniques that make good bass players, and I haven't worked on those. But I can do all the guitar stuff very, very well. I studied jazz for 4 years on the guitar. That was my focus point. And then I've learned to play drums over the past few years of my adult life, and I can do. I think I pass as a rock and roll drummer.
You got a jazz college jazz.
Yeah. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, college jazz. Yeah, I studied jazz in college, yeah, I did, and it sucked. And I don't want to talk about it. No, I'm just kidding. Jazz in college was intense. A lot of my professors were fucking dicks. Other ones are really cool. But when you take your creativity and you put it under a microscope that way. I put my creativity under a microscope, but I want it to be my microscope, not some fucking washed up asshole that wants to tell you how to be. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, for sure.
So you do Machina is basically everything is done digitally.
Yes.
However, you still do play the samples.
Yeah.
That you put in as wave files or whatever into Logic.
100%. Yeah. So when I'm cutting and splicing, there obviously are a lot of like wave files and samples and all that stuff. You know what I mean? And so those are played on stage by the computer, which is the Machina part of it, and I'm the Mavi part of it. And so the idea is that, it's like I'm Mavi, Machina is the computer. We're playing together to create this sort of live show.
Like your friend.
Like my friend.
Here's my friend Machina.
For sure.
I talk to him.
And I
talk to computers.
I literally consider like my computer and my dog are my two. Well, okay. My friend Kevin's probably my best friend. My computer is my best friend. But my computer and my dog.
My computer's a great friend. He's also a great enabler.
He's a great enabler. He's a great enabler. He literally, totally. He's like, that's a great idea, man. I tell you what, man, I'm not gonna tell you no. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
You want to look at cat photos? Yeah, I'll do it with you.
I'll do cat photos
I'll do cat photos for 3 hours.
Totally. You want to literally look at memes of Donald Trump on Reddit? No problem. No problem.
There's him losing his hair. All right.
There's him losing his hair.
I'm like, seriously.
White House. There's that photo. WhiteHouse.gov took down. Yeah, fucking. We saw it, bro. Sorry, we saw it. You know what I mean?
You and me, baby.
You and me. Yeah, totally. Well, it's all good.
Yeah, no, I think that's a cool thing. I saw a woman at the Kroger checkout counter, and I was like, I don't know if she's crazy or not. And then she talked to me. She was like, she was talking to the checkout, like the automated checkout.
Oh,
thing.
Fuck yeah, that's cool.
She was like, oh, she was telling me, I just talked to him. I just talked to the checkout.
That's
And
great.
she was
I
like,
love that.
"Oh, you can't get this. Let me get it a little bit better for you. All
when,
right, there
when,
you go."
when the singularity finally occurs and like machines are merged with people, she's one of the ones that won't be killed. You know, she's one of the ones
She's,
that
like,
AI will
nice
have mercy
to
on. They'll like play back all the video footage immediately. Like her life flashing before her eyes, you know what I mean? And they'll be like,
"Yes."
"You were always nice to us. We will now pet you on the head and make you as strong as we are. Thank you." And then
Like the
and
Rick
then,
and
I'll
Morty
roll
dog.
Up, I'll roll up and they'll be like, "You kicked your Roomba one time. We will have no mercy on your
You
soul."
gotta be nice to the room.
You gotta, dude, you have to be nice to those fuckers because you know machines are gonna be like, "Dude, do you remember when you kicked our dog? Do you remember when you kicked the dog version of us in the fucking head?"
Oh god.
Yeah, for sure. Machines will have no mercy. Yep. But my computer's my best friend. My dog Roscoe is my best friend. Kevin's my best friend. Zach's my new best friend. Lots of best friends.
It's like you gotta get your girl in there somewhere.
She's my girlfriend.
Girlfriend,
soon to be wife. So it's a little different. But yeah, I dude, my computer, I love it. Honestly, I know it sounds weird, but like seriously, like it's the only band that I've ever been able to like really say I love working with 100%. You know, because people always come with their bullshit and their opinions.
And your computer's like, "Yeah, sure, we'll do it that way."
My computer's like, "Sure, you want to make this? You want to literally like make this beat in a way that like everyone else would interpret as shitty? Go ahead." You know what I mean? I don't care. That's great. You know what? I'm gonna not only is this cool, but I'm also gonna like automate your coffee maker to make you a cup of coffee while it's happening. You know? I'm like, hell yeah, thank you, MacBook. You know. Also, and you know, and then my dog Roscoe, he just looks up at me and is totally good with it as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. Yep, they're the true homies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
I
accept the fact that Roscoe Holmes is my girlfriend. Which is, like, you know what I mean? Which is like, in any other circumstance, it'd be really fucking awful.
No one else.
And I wouldn't wish
No
that on
one
anybody
else.
because I would get really mad and probably try to physically inflict violence. Yeah, totally. But with Roscoe, I'm just like, this is great, dude. I'm cool with it. You sat here and watched me fucking make music for 10 hours, and now you're
Yeah.
helping my girlfriend. It's cool, you know? Yeah, so,
We're all chill.
yeah, totally. Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure if I like where I'm going with this, you know? I'm not putting out there that if you watch me make music for 10 hours, you can help my girlfriend. I just want to say that to everyone, like, fuck off. That's not what I'm saying. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, Mavi Machina is what I'm doing with my shit. I love it. It's my music. It's what I perform live. It's the albums that I've been coming out with. And,
when is it like? Are you coming out with an album? Or?
So I'm supposed to come with an album yesterday, which is why I made that joke about deadlines earlier.
Okay.
And I'm a little behind, to be honest with you. But it's getting done, and I expect that it will be out soon. That's what I'll say. I don't want to put a deadline on it because I don't want to miss another deadline, honestly. But it's coming out soon, and I'm excited for it. You know, I've had some stuff out already, but this one's gonna be sort of the one that I'm pitching to record labels, the one I'm pitching to management, the one that I'll be performing live around Cincinnati a whole lot. And so I'm really excited about this one, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it'll change, you know, help change my life a little bit, you know. So no matter in what magnitude, you know, I don't have to be Ed Sheeran, but I'd love to be playing fucking, you know, 150 gigs a year, 200 gigs a year, doing as
that'd be a lot. That'd be a lot.
Yeah, well, I mean, as a touring musician, that's always what I wanted, man. I work so fucking hard as a web guy when I'm working for these clients and stuff, and that's what I want as music. You know, I mean, if I could take all my hours in the day and put them strictly into music and like be able to justify it by making money off albums and making money off shows and all that, dude, like that's exactly where I want to be. You know, and right now I'd say, you know, I'm 50-50, so to get 100% towards creativity that's the goal, you know? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, cool, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited for that drop. So you find out about the drop at matt.blog or?
Okay, so you can find out, go to mavimachina.com, MAVIMACHINA.com. You'll be able to find out the drop there. If you want to check out what I'm doing personally from the day-to-day basis, my opinions on shit, all that stuff, you can check out matt.blog. It's MATTT.blog, you know?
Yeah.
And eventually matt.blog, I can definitely see, will just be a redirect to Mavi Machina, but you'll always be able to find me both those domains, 100%. So, yes.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Yes.
I think that's pretty much, I think it's, what, 2:43? I think it's pretty much, you good?
Let's do it, bro. Yeah. All right, yo. This is Tech Talk. It's been a fucking great time today. We got a little funny sometimes. We talked a little serious at other times. You got to know me as a creator. You got to know your wonderful host over here, Zach, as a little more of a host, which is cool. He's fucking cool. He's keeping it alive. You know what I mean? And I just want to thank everyone for having me here today, for sure.
Yeah, thanks a lot for coming. I really appreciate it.
Dude, absolutely. I appreciate you having me on, and fucking...
And thanks for breakfast.
yeah, totally. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Breakfast. I bought the burrito, but he bought the fucking muffin last week, so it's all good. Yeah, totally. So,
all right. Thanks,
all
man.
right. Thanks.
What is that?